Skyrim is a staple of the gaming industry, and by extension, so is the franchise of Elder Scrolls and the studio behind it, Bethesda Game Studios. There's a reason why it's still being re-released today on multiple platforms. It's a marvel of the industry, and for a lot of people, for many years, myself included, their favorite game of all time. This begs the question, is Elder Scrolls 6 too big of a task? In this video, I want to look at and break down whether, in my opinion, Bethesda can achieve the mammoth task of toppling their own creation. It's no question whether Skyrim is a great game. It took the industry by storm in 2011 and continues to do so 7 years later. The main issue is with creating something so huge and successful is how exactly do you outdo that? When creating franchises, a developer will always strive to do better each time, but with Elder Scrolls, where do you even begin? There's the obvious things of tighter gameplay, better graphics, more in-depth systems, taking inspiration from popular mods, but how do you go forward and not just make a sequel to Skyrim? The Elder Scrolls has always pushed what you can do with RPGs. This is evident with Skyrim. The hardest part is when you craft a masterpiece, how do you start fresh? A huge task is going to be making sure they don't just copy over Skyrim and give it a new lick of paint and improve a few systems and call it Elder Scrolls 6. The Elder Scrolls 6 has to do the same thing Skyrim did. It needs to be a new game, which is unexpected, revolutionary, and game-changing, not just Skyrim 2. This is something that they've always done, although the Elder Scrolls games are similar. Oblivion wasn't a carbon copy of Morrowind, and Skyrim certainly wasn't another Oblivion. With the next Elder Scrolls, they have to make sure it isn't just another Skyrim. They need to strive for greatness without looking too hard at what came before. They need to keep base elements, such as what makes an Elder Scrolls game an Elder Scrolls game, without focusing too hard on what made Skyrim great, because by doing so, they'll end up giving us the same experience, and that's not how Skyrim became great in itself. A lot of people would like to see a second Skyrim game, but this simply wouldn't work the way people think. Elder Scrolls thrives on change, and the way they succeed, the way they revolutionize the industry, and the way they craft Elder Scrolls is based on their ability to push the boundaries of RPGs and give us something we didn't think was possible from current games.
Oak Ridge is a community unique in the annals of American history, especially unique in this current history of ours today.
Fallout 4 was a game I'd been excited for ever since I played Fallout 3 in 2008. I adored Fallout 3 and I couldn't wait to get my hands on the sequel. The issue was that when it was released, to this day, I've only clocked around 48 hours as opposed to the hundreds I've put into Fallout 3. The game wasn't necessarily a bad game, it just wasn't Fallout. It felt more Far Cry with some mixed Mass Effect vibes with the dialogue wheel, a few RPG elements here and there, but it wasn't a true RPG like Fallout 3 or New Vegas. And this was incredibly disappointing to long-term Fallout fans. They alienated a section of their long-time fans due to their attempt to break Fallout into the mainstream the same way they had done with Skyrim. The issue here is that Skyrim wasn't trying to break into the mainstream, it was just trying to be a great Elder Scrolls game, and in doing so, it caught attention of the mainstream. Fallout 4 wasn't trying to be the best a Fallout game could be, it was trying to reinvent Fallout in order to appeal to new players, and in doing so, it lost what made Fallout great and lost a large portion of its fanbase. The difference from Fallout to Elder Scrolls is that Fallout wasn't always owned by Bethesda. Originally it was created by Black Isle Studios, and Bethesda picked it up and created Fallout 3. This was their first Fallout game built in the style of Elder Scrolls 4 at the time. And it worked, it gained fans, and so people expected the next Fallout game would be the same. Bethesda, however, had other plans to take Fallout further and continue to invent the series so that it wasn't just an Elder Scrolls from a gameplay perspective, in a different world. In doing so, like I said, they alienated their audience. Bethesda needs to be careful they don't do the same with the next Elder Scrolls game, as this is a concern people have. From my perspective, I do get this concern. However, if you look at their history, Bethesda have always stuck to their guns with Elder Scrolls, and it hasn't gone through the same changes they made to Fallout after Fallout 3. The reason for this, in my opinion, is because Elder Scrolls has a style which has changed and adapted over time. However, the fundamentals have stayed the same, because this is Bethesda's prized possession. It's their own IP, and they know what it is and what they're doing with it. Fallout, on the other hand, wasn't always theirs. They took it under their wing and adapted the series to their Elder Scrolls formula. They continued to adapt it and change it with Fallout 4 to see if they could make it its own thing, rather than just another Bethesda-style RPG. This obviously wasn't a great decision, but I feel this same thing won't or shouldn't affect the future of Elder Scrolls, but something else might. Unless you've been living under a rock, gaming has seen a sizable shift in the way that games are made. You only have to look towards Assassin's Creed Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Mass Effect Andromeda to see The Witcher 3 has shaped a lot of what modern RPGs are trying to do, a similar way to what Skyrim did back in 2011. Skyrim created a shift in the way developers handle their open worlds. They pushed further, above and beyond, because Skyrim has shown it was possible. More RPGs surfaced in the mainstream because Skyrim paved the way, and the same is happening since 2015 because of The Witcher 3. The Elder Scrolls has the potential to be affected by this new wave of RPGs. I'm not saying that it'll become a third-person action RPG, but they definitely could pick up some of the tropes of these newly titled Witcher-style RPGs. These style of games sell well, and it would be clear to any developer if you follow this path, you get results. There's no doubt to me that Bethesda doing this would end up with a cool game, but it simply wouldn't be Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls has a charm to it, it's special and ultimately untouchable. We've seen countless Witcher-style RPGs, but how many Elder Scrolls-style RPGs have we seen? One. And that's Elder Scrolls. The influence of these modern RPGs does affect expectations and the interest of the consumer, or at least adds to it. However, this doesn't take away from older styles of games we loved in the past. Elder Scrolls isn't like other RPGs. Its style is iconic and beloved. I don't want another Witcher style game or another Mass Effect style game. What I want from Bethesda is Elder Scrolls, pure and unadulterated Elder Scrolls, because that's what Bethesda excels at. For Elder Scrolls 6 to truly be able to succeed, it needs to be first and foremost an Elder Scrolls game. Ignore The Witcher, ignore Origins, ignore Horizon and the lot, ignore Skyrim and its success, as difficult as that might be, and just focus on the Elder Scrolls 6. Focus on doing what we know Bethesda can do, and that's to go above and beyond our expectations for gaming and craft yet another masterpiece, unlike anything that came before it. I love Elder Scrolls, and I love Skyrim, but in order to succeed moving forwards, we need to see Bethesda stick to their guns. We need to see them continue to push what Elder Scrolls is capable of, not just what Skyrim is capable of. We need them to learn from their mistakes with Fallout and apply that to Elder Scrolls, and above all, they need to ignore current market trends. Elder Scrolls doesn't follow market trends. It creates market trends. If they do all this and push the limits of gaming in the current generation, they can be sure to make another impact that'll ripple through the industry for the next decade. Don't forget to check out my other videos and hit the like button if you enjoyed. Maybe consider subscribing and going over to my Patreon to support me further in making these kinds of videos. Leave topic requests in the comments below or over at my Twitter, linked in the description. Thank you guys so much for the support recently. It means the world that I can do these videos that I am really passionate about and still get the support without having to grind out, you know, Assassin's Creed news or gaming news or Let's Plays. You guys have been super supportive of the channel since the beginning of this year, and honestly, it means the world to me that I can continue to do this channel, but do it in the way that I want, and that's just fucking fantastic. Thank you everyone so much. Catch you guys next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.